A very good afternoon to all of you, and let us begin with today's session of International Business Environment. In our last session, we tried to understand what do we mean by international business, what are the different nature, scope, importance of international business, and also we try to understand what do we mean by intellectual property rights, and also what are the difference between vision, mission, objectives, and strategies of a business organization. In our today's session, let us move forward towards the second part of chapter 1, where we will be discussing the overview of business environment. Now, yes, now this overview of business environment would sound similar to what we had studied earlier, but then the explanation would definitely be something much more than what we have already discussed. So please do concentrate and do not confuse or overlap what we had studied earlier. Now, speaking about business environment, every business environment, as the name itself tells, it is combination of two words, business and environment. And when we speak of this, business is associated with performing activities, and these activities can be in the form of production of goods or purchasing of goods or rendering of services. And every business does this with the motive of earning profit. Now, every business operates with the main aim of delivering goods and services to the society. But this aim it does with the objective of having a mutual profit. Now, speaking about your business environment, in general, environment is the aggregate of all the conditions that influences the community and also the circumstances that surround someone. Now, it is important for us to note that business never works in vacuum. And also, we should remember that how the business environment affects the business organization in the same manner a business would be affecting the environment also in which it operates. Now, as we discussed earlier, business environment comprises of all the conditions, those which are external to the business and also those which are internal to an organization, which would be affecting in its every aspect. Could it be economic, political, technology, or other things in which a business would be involved? Now, the external and internal force keeps on changing when it comes to the contemporary world. Now, these changes can be in form of economic reforms, it could be in form of political changes or technological invention also. Now business environment, as we said, includes both internal and external, and we should remember that internal factors are to some extent controllable, whereas those external factors can only be faced or overcome. A business organization would never have any control over how external environment changes. It definitely does not have control, but there are some aspects wherein which it definitely can influence the external environment. Now, and it is also very important to note that the environmental changes are always rapid and will definitely have direct or indirect implication for business. Now, these changes will definitely bring either opportunity for a business organization or a threat for a business organization. So, it is expected of every business to identify the business opportunity or threat, to assess them, and also once after assessing we have to respond to those changes. Now the success of any business lies in its alertness to adapt to changes occurring in its environment. Now let us concentrate on the definition of business environment. There are n numbers of definitions given by different authors. Herein I have listed three of them, which would probably give you an idea of what it is meant by business environment. The first one is given by Weimer, W. Weimer. According to him, business environment encompasses the climate or set of conditions, economic, social, political, or institutional, in which business operations are conducted. Now, speaking about all the definitions that has been given are self-explanatory. It is easy to understand and it includes whatever we have discussed earlier. So, coming back to Weimer's definition, he tells that a business environment includes all the conditions, and he mentions it in the name of climate or set of conditions. According to him, this climate or set of conditions includes all the economic changes, social, political, or institutional. So when he tells economic, social, and political, these three represent external factors, and when he speaks about institutional, here he is trying to tell regarding the internal environment of business. Going forward, next definition is given by Bayard O. Wheeler, and he tells that business environment is the total of all things external to business firm and industries which affect their organizations and operations. Now here Wheeler concentrates more on the external environment, and he does gives importance for external environment with the viewpoint that internal environment is controllable and would be under the control of organization. So it becomes important that we should give more importance towards external environment. And one more definition is given by Anderson and Pyrie. According to them, business environment is the sum of those inputs to an organization which are under the control of other organizations or interest groups or are influenced by the interaction of several groups such as the economy. Now, these two are also telling that environment focuses should be more on the external environment rather than that of the internal environment. Now, let us move forward towards the components of business environment. Now, business decision is always affected by both the internal environment and external environment. So, these components of business environment can also be called as factors which affects the business environment. Now, there are two main, one is internal, the second one is external. Now, the external environment is further being classified into two. First one being a micro environment, second one being macro environment. So let us in detail try to understand what are this. The first one is internal environment. Now, internal environment represents all those factors or refers to all those internal factors that outline the strengths or weaknesses of an organization, and it represents the strength or weaknesses in relation to the external environment. So all those things that can probably called as internal environment are discussed below, and let us try to understand each one of them. The first one is organization culture. Now, organization culture is one of the most acknowledged component when it comes to internal environment. Now, the culture of an organization refers to the values that are being, you know, in existence in an organization, the style in which the organization works, the learned ways that has shaped the collective behavior of the individuals who are working within an organization. Now all these aspects makes what is called as the organization culture. The employees performing or working in the business enterprise are definitely going to hold some value system which would be influencing, might be their working languages, might be their ethical standards, the working style, or for that matter, even how there is mutual interaction between the workers. Now, a healthy culture shared within organization definitely promotes mutual cooperation, and when there is mutual cooperation in an organization, it is definitely going to provide satisfaction among all the employees, and they could be performing together towards great internal strength of the business firm. So all these aspects might be values, the culture, or ethics that is present in a business organization is definitely going to matter. The next one is vision, mission, and objectives. These three was individually dealt in our last session. So now let us see how does this affects a decision of a business organization. Now, could it be vision, mission, or objective? All these three acts as a roadmap that would be guiding the philosophies, the priorities, the policies of an organization. For example, we can take the vision of the Walmart store. And the vision of the Walmart store is that to become the worldwide leader in retailing. Now, this is the vision. As we studied in our earlier session, vision simply means the North Pole, that is to tell the highest aim of a organization. Now, the vision of Walmart would be or is to help people save money so they can live better. So, this particular vision or mission of Walmart definitely affects the decision which it takes. Moving forward, the next internal environment is top management structure. Now, top management is one such aspect of an organization which supports the growth of an organization very much. Now, it could be the composition of the board of directors and also the extent of professionalism that these board members contain greatly affects the success or failure of a business organization, and it matters for achieving the vision, mission, or objective of an organization. Now, the quality of the top management, it could be attitude or behavior of these highest level of people or highest decision making authority is one of the critical factor for development of company. Not only that, now the shareholding pattern of the company, if at all there is any split among the promoters, or even which are those groups which are being represented by the promoters in public, could and will definitely have important implication for business. Now, whenever the top management consists of experienced top management, it is definitely going to facilitate quick decision making, and that could be one of the internal strength for any organization. Moving forward, the next internal environment is human resources. Now, it goes without telling that the workforce is the greatest asset of any organization because it is one such factor which plays important role both in strategy implementation and also in management system. Now, any business organization which has a committed and talented workforce along with the leadership skills definitely ensures the success of a business. And for this to happen, the business leaders or the business organization has to attract, develop, and also retain the best people necessary to seize all the opportunity that the environment is going to provide for their business. And it also matters for reducing cost and also in optimizing the performance of the business organization. The next one is company's image. Now, this company's image simply does not, restricts itself towards colors of the logo or artistic design and creative website a business organization has. It is definitely much more than that. Now, company image means the image perceived in the mind of the customers. Now, this image of the company conveys lot of influence on the sales and profitability of a company. Now, launching new products, attracting potential customers, or restraining the competition, raising finance, maybe forming a joint venture with somebody else. All these decisions that a business organization has to take would greatly depend upon how it is being perceived by its customers. Now, and also to mention in particular, what is called as brand equity will always prove the greatest strength of the company, and it proves to be greatest strength in the form of repeated sales or brand loyalty. Now, all these terms that we are using might be brand loyalty, might be, brand equity. All those things had been discussed in your marketing management, and those who had gone through all the things that were shared can definitely understand what it is. Now, moving forward, there are some miscellaneous internal factors which influences the internal environment of a business organization. And among that, the first one could be the natural resources. Now, here when we speak of natural resources, definitely it would be representing the adequate natural resources such as water, could it be wood or iron, coal, or minerals, which would have considerable value for commercial disposal of an organization. The second one is financial resources. Now, money available in the form of cash and also in the form of securities, or in other words, quick cash held by an organization makes up one of the important decisions to determine the internal and the real strength of a business. Now, these financial resources always determine the company's size and its capacity to expand its operations against its competitors. Now, one more miscellaneous factor is physical resource. And when we speak about physical resource, this physical resource include what your production facilities, mainly the machineries or some of the IT equipments. It also includes the vehicles. How is your distribution network being maintained? The physical infrastructure and all other assets. available to an organization which is necessary for the smooth running of the business are being included in the physical resources. And one more factor is research and development capabilities. And in today's business environment of severe competition, research and development plays a very important role. Now, investing in research and development activities will always ensure the company's ability to innovate new products for meeting its customers' expectations, because than ever before the customers of today display a very diverse nature in the way how they would be demanding a product. So in today's world, innovation plays very important role. And there can also be some of the other factors such as location of the business, the patent and the trade secrets that a business has for itself, which is definitely going to affect the decision that a business takes. So now, whatever we discussed up until this point of time, I hope you are clear regarding that. If at all there are any confusions, or if at all you need any other explanation, do let me know. Now, moving forward, the next one is external environment. Now, external environment connotes all the factors that fall outside the organization boundaries and also beyond the control of business enterprise. Now, all these external environment forces are always extensive and also multi-dimensional phenomenon. It always represents the world outside the business, which will be having direct influence on how the function of a business would be carried out. Now, as we discussed earlier, the internal factor represents the strength and weaknesses of an organization, and the external environment is going to always represent the opportunities as well as the threats that a business organization has it for itself. Now, moving forward towards the definition of external environment, one of the definition is given by Renchi and Scholl, and according to them, the environment of business consists of all those external things to which it is exposed and by which it may be influenced directly or indirectly. Now, these definitions are self explanatory, and it simply tells that the external environment consists each and every factors which is outside to a business organization, and each of these factors either will have a direct influence or definitely it would have a indirect influence on the decision of a business organization. The next definition is given by William and Jock, and according to them, in environment there are external factors which constantly bring opportunity and threats to the business firm. It includes social, economic, technological, and political conditions. Now, definitions are there. The meaning or its implication we have already discussed in our earlier sessions. Moving forward, now it is expected of a firm to monitor changes in the external environment, which are always uncertain and which are very much necessary for well-being of any business organization. Now, we had already discussed different types of external environment, but we should always note that each and every external environment that we had discussed may not be relevant for all the business organization, but definitely majority of the elements that we had discussed in pestle analysis would form external environment for business organization. That is to tell, for a handloom industry, the technological factor might not matter a lot when compared to an IT based industry. So it is not necessary that all the external environment are, you know, definitely will have implication on every organization. It depends upon what nature or what type of organization you are dealing with. Moving forward, now let us try to understand from definition what is meant by microenvironment. Now, microenvironment simply means those external environment which would be having direct and sudden impact on the business organization. And the first definition is being given by Philip Kotler, and according to him the microenvironment consists of factors in the company's immediate environment which affects the performance of business unit, and these include suppliers, marketing intermediaries, competitors, customers, and the public. So according to this definition, the microenvironment includes all those elements which affects the performance of a business which are very immediately next to its internal environment. That is to tell a direct bearing on the decisions of a business organization. The second definition is given by Hill and Jones, and according to them, the microenvironment of a company consists of elements that directly affect the company, such as competitors, customers, and suppliers. So let us now try to understand what are the different microenvironment that affects the decision of a business. The first one and the most important one is customers, because the survival of the business solely depends upon not only a customer, but that customer has to be a satisfied customer. And in today's competitive environment, attracting and retaining customers has become very much important, and also it is very challenging. Now, in order to satisfy the different needs of its customer or the taste and likings of the customer, nowadays business spend heavily on the consumer research, product designing, advertising, and also on after sale services. Now, we should always remember that for any business it might be, depending upon one single customer will always prove risky. Now, speaking about customers, you can categorize customers into different categories. Now, customers could be individuals, they could be in form of households, they could be in form of industries, commercial establishments, governments, or any other kind of institution. Now, this choice of the customer should be done mainly keeping in mind the relative profitability, dependability, or the stability of the demand that they are going to bring in for an business organization. Not only that, in choosing customers, the business should also keep in mind the growth aspect or the extent of the competition that they are going to bring in for their business. And nowadays, we do have the concept of what is called as market segmentation also. Now, this concept of market segmentation helps every business to satisfy their customers' need in a very well, managed way, or they can satisfy their needs very much than before. Now, speaking about consumer segmentation, here now to tell in simple words or to remind you once again, consumer segmentation is nothing but among all the consumer that you have, based on their nature and based on how they are going to affect your business organization, you are going to divide them into different groups so that you know the needs and the expectation of each group, and you can concentrate on each group so that you satisfy them in a very better way, and thereby you retain them for your organization for a long time period. Now, this segmentation of consumer market can be done in the form of income level of the customer or the demographic factors. Now, demographic factors simply represent the age, gender, occupation, or such. Or you can also divide them on the basis of geographical area. You can divide them based on personality, lifestyle, or also attitude. Now, all these things I do remember we had discussed in our chap- marketing management chapter 2, wherein we were discussing regarding consumer behavior. So please try to remember all those things and let us move forward. And the next one is the next factor that affects the microenvironment of business is suppliers. Now, suppliers, in very simple words, represent those who supply inputs or components to a business organization. Now, these inputs or components can be in the form of raw materials, it could be in the form of labor, it could also be in the form of capital. And all these things helps the company in its production process. Now, suppliers provide the resources needed by the company. And we should also remember it is not only, as we mentioned earlier, material, labor, or capital. It could also include storage facility. They can also include credit facility. Now, for smooth functioning of the business, this source of supply should always be one which is reliable. Now, a reliable source means a source which we can trust. Now, a reliable source of supply ensures quality input material. Now, it will also mean less ordering and carrying cost. Now, it will also represent minimum buffer stock that which would be further reducing its cost of carriage and also the insurance charges. Now, the same way how uh, we discussed under the customers, that relying on single customers will definitely prove risky. In the same manner, relying on single supplier will also prove risky. And we should always remember that the wrong choice of supplier can cause company to lose its cost benefit as well as loss of trust among customers. Now, this particular situation was faced by one of the popular company of car manufacturers, Toyota. What happened was they relied only on single supplier, and that supplier proved very much wrong for their company. In the year or during the time period of 2009 to 11, because of the faulty brakes that the supplier had provided to Toyota company, Toyota had to call back almost nearly 10 million vehicles all around the Europe as the accelerators that were being used in the vehicles were not working properly, and this solely depended on the faulty mechanical oscillators that the supplier had given. And there are cases in which due to this there were also accidents which were fatal and ended in death. Now, out of 10 million car it had called, nearly 7 million belong to two different categories of Toyota cars. Now, for that matter, Toyota company recalled, repaired all the cars and sent back to the owners. But what they lost was something much more than that. They lost the trust of the customers. So it becomes necessary that business houses needs to choose best suppliers that should supply quality inputs with a reliable delivery system and also at a low cost. And ultimately, supply of quality inputs is the one which determines the finished product quality. I guess we are running out of time, so let us for this session wind up here and come back to our next session, which would be in the coming week. And from this point onwards, we shall discuss in our next session. Thank you for your patience listening. If at all there are any queries, do let me know and have a happy weekend. So once after I take down your attendance, you can give the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, students. Uh, you can leave the meeting.